I knew someone recently who was struggling with their cortisol levels, their stress levels, and it was putting them into a pre-diabetic state, which is fascinating, right? Because when we secrete cortisol, we actually secrete blood sugar, right? And normally we think of like, oh, our blood sugar is going to skyrocket if we're eating sugary foods, right? It's not always the case. Like you could be in a stressful event and your blood sugar could be through the roof, right? So a lot of people are struggling with too high cortisol levels, and this is resulting in looking like a pre-diabetic state, or you're having some other issues, right? You're just gaining weight, you don't know why. So coming out into the sun and helping to train your cortisol levels is so helpful. I think this is one of the most helpful things that I do for my diet and regulating my blood sugar, is coming out and using the sunlight, the light. And so every morning we're supposed to get this big kick of cortisol, so if you're waking up and you're not feeling like you're actually awake, this is a sign that your hormones could be off, right? If you wake up and you feel like you just went to sleep but you didn't rest, your body's supposed to go through all of its sleep cycles, its deep sleep stages at night. We're supposed to secrete a lot of melatonin. And so if you're feeling like you're waking up and you don't feel rested, it could be that you are just sleeping and not actually having this melatonin secretion. So that, again, one of the best ways to train your melatonin is to come into the sunlight, because we produce most of our melatonin in the sunlight. And it's so counterintuitive, like everything's counterintuitive in the body. So I'm actually stimulating cortisol, which is helping me create like a sleep debt. People have talked about sleep debt before, where anything that you're doing in your light cycle is helping you to create hormones for your night cycle, your dark cycle. So in the morning here, I'm stimulating cortisol. And because I'm stimulating cortisol, I'm also releasing blood sugar anytime. So that's why I say too, when you're waking up, to kind of delay your coffee if you're sensitive or if you're out of rhythm, because anytime you stimulate the stress response, you're going to release blood sugar. This is why like diabetes and pre-diabetes is like really high and on the rise, and especially like dementia and Alzheimer's, which is diabetes type 3, insulin resistance of the brain. And that's why we have trouble with our immune function, because when our sugar levels are all out of whack throughout the day, our immune system is like playing with fire. It's always trying to put it out, and it can't focus on like your infrastructure of the cell. It's just focusing on bringing you back towards this baseline. But if you can imagine, like if you stayed at this baseline, you would give your immune system enough room to play, like enough room to work on infrastructure. And when I say infrastructure, I'm meaning like hair, skin, and nails, things like libido, things that are not immediate threat, that are going towards the actual building and integrity of the body. So when we're waking up in the morning, we should have this big cortisol boost. If you're not feeling that, try and do things that will help naturally stimulate your cortisol. So that's why I always talk about like coming out in the sun. You could also focus on doing like some form of exercise, right? Anything to help. Like I remember this question that somebody asked me, do I have to eat to stimulate my metabolism? No, our metabolism is always working, thank God. Like if we had to stimulate our metabolism just by eating, like half of us would be dead, but fortunately we do have metabolic functions that are controlling our heart rate, controlling our respiratory rate all the time, digestion, we don't have to think about it, right? The acids in our stomach are being made so that we can digest and break down our food. Like there's so much happening beyond the scene that we don't know. But so regulating this cortisol level, like if you are struggling with high cortisol levels, you have to ask your body, like, why does my body feel like it's in an extremely stressed out place? And what is a craving? What is a craving? If I'm struggling with cravings, same thing with cortisol. I need to provide my body with something that'll make it feel safe. So even if before I come out in the sun, because I had a rough time the past few months with being in the sunlight, my body was so stressed, my histamine levels were so elevated that going on the sunlight just flared up these skin issues that I had. It just flared up my stress response. So I took the approach of having a big amino and fatty acid breakfast. For me, it looked like ground beef, liver, or like raw eggs, anything that I need to put my body out of the stress response as soon as possible. And I went into meditative practices as well. So when we meditate and we intentionally slow down our breathing rate, we can mimic what our sleep stages look like. So if you're someone who is waking up and not feeling rested, you may be missing the sleep patterns, the sleep waves. So what this means is that your respiratory rate is staying high during the night, your heart rate staying high during the night, your body temperature is staying high during the night. And this would indicate that you have your growth hormones turned on at night. We don't want this. We want our melatonin to be high at night. We want our body temperature to drop, our respiratory rate to drop, so that we can feel rested, so we have this melatonin release in our body and signal that everything is nighttime. And again, part of like getting the blue light out of your diet at night is so important. If you're going through sensitivities, you're going through struggle periods, get the blue light out at night. It has been one of the things shown to squash melatonin. And it's just so simple. Like, you know, you're not going to exercise. It's not something very physical. It's a passive thing. So take the blue light out at night if you're struggling. And then also, where does melatonin find its origin? Well, we can create it in the body through central metabolism. We can create a lot of hormones and amino acids in the body endogenously. But it's also important to note, where does it come from in its external source. So it comes from tryptophan, one of our essential amino acids. Tryptophan is found in higher amounts in our animal-based proteins. So years ago, when I was trying to get in my circadian rhythm and lower, even the past few months, lowering my stress response, I knew that I had to focus on getting tryptophan in so that I could break down into more serotonin and melatonin, so that I could help my body be in a state of rest at night. So going back to the brainwave states and what a meditation could do for you. Meditation saved my life over the last few months. And I really recommend you looking into Dr. Joe Dispenza and his work with the meditation. He helps people like all over the world, and he has tons of podcasts online you can look into. But getting into a meditative state is intentionally slowing down the breathing rate. So in the mornings, was I immediately going into my amino and fatty acid breakfast, but I was also intentionally slowing down my breathing rate. So just taking my time, and if you're new to this, you can start with like setting a timer on your phone for just 2 minutes and just focusing on taking the deepest breaths in and out. And when I'm telling you, my heart rate during this time, my heart rate, my body temperature, everything was so elevated. Like a lot of you who may be struggling with this cortisol dominance, it's this sympathetic side of the nervous system. You're stuck in the fight or flight. And I was stuck in my fight or flight. So how do you get out of it? You practice being in the parasympathetic state, and you give your body plenty of nourishment and nutrients to help show your cells that you are in a safe space. So I get into my meditation early in the morning, slow down my breathing rate, even though my heart rate was like, and I couldn't hardly get control of my breathing rate because it was so high. But you're just observing that. You're just observing how fast is my breathing rate, how fast is my heart rate. And you just continue to show up and to try and slow it down. That's all you can do. And eventually you'll find, there's a doctor I really like called Zach Bush, and he talks about this end-of-life breath, where sometimes it is our mind that controls this fight or flight. It is our fear of what we're thinking about, what we're most afraid of, that is causing us to be in the stress response. And so he talked about how at the end of life care, when people were about to die, it was fascinating. There's a certain breath, a certain breathing pattern that once the mind lets go of the sympathetic nervous system, of our nervous systems, the breath falls into this natural, deep pace. And this is what we would have at nighttime, right? In our deepest delta wave sleep state, where we're at the most restorative breath, even the theta waves, we would have this, it would just be like, you don't have to try and control the breathing. At a point in my meditation practice, my breath just lets go. I just start breathing really, really deeply. It's just like going to sleep at night. So you can practice this and look up Dr. Joe Dispenza if you need more guidance and support and how the science actually works, because it is really amazing. But besides that, supporting your body through the amino fatty acids, getting plenty of animal-based proteins, the B vitamins, as well, like very supportive of helping you get into the parasympathetic state, helping you get into a calmer state so that your body's not secreting sugar all the time. It's too much sugar. We love sugar, we love cortisol. Too much of it, right? Too much exercise, no bueno. With not enough rest and repair, not good for us. So, you know, it's daily practice of showing up, but I definitely don't want to skip how important the meditative practice was for me and helping me to get into a better place with myself, and definitely don't want to skip the protein. So it was all very helpful for me in my journey. So I hope that this is helpful for you in your journey. You know, even just going outside and listening to the birds, like the birds and the sounds of the birds, they put you into a parasympathetic state. So where in my life can I help myself? And you know, leaving your phone off in the morning is also helpful. You know, if you could just leave it off, you go outside, observe the nature before everything comes into your life, before everything gets chaotic. Just take a moment to yourself to slow down and to be like with your body. Start your biochemical cascade strong, and everything, you know, life happens anyway, but start off strong. So anyway, that's all I got for this video. If I can help you in some way, please reach out. I got my email in the description below. But yeah, I wish you the best of luck. You're so beautiful. Don't forget to look at your cells and speak kind things to yourself. That's also one of the biggest ways that you can help overcome this stress response, this cortisol dominance, and help regulate your blood sugar is speak kind things to yourself. Believe in your body. Believe that your cells and your immune system is working in your favor. Keep your expectations high for each day that you're going into. Tomorrow I'm going to be a little bit stronger. I'm going to be a little bit calmer with each breath, each step. My cells are working to take care of me because I'm willing and I ask them to do so. So I ask them, my cells, my body is beautiful. It's always working for me in my favor. So anyway, wish you the best of luck. Until next time.